Step 5 is to pre-qualify. So we've delivered our elevator pitch. This is how we help. We've taken it away slightly. I don't know if you need this. Now I'm going to ask you a couple questions to see if you do. So pre-qualify is asking a couple questions. And these questions should be pre-qualifying questions, which are questions that determine if the prospect has a potential fit for what you offer. It's not just really broad questions, what keeps you up at night, or what'd you do for spring break. These are laser focused questions, and these, we call these pre-qualifying questions because they're not true deep qualifying questions. Deep qualifying questions would be like, what's the decision making process over there? Is there budget approved for this area? Who do you report to? Stuff like that. Those are good questions to ask. We don't need to ask those when we're setting the appointment. Those might be questions we ask in the appointment. So we're just pre-qualifying. Now, a key thing here is that you need to you need to develop a good list of pre-qualifying questions. For a lot of this process to work that I'm sharing with you, you need to be able to develop your elevator pitch. You need to develop your pre-qualifying questions. By the way, just time out on step 5. One thing I want to point out is that at SalesScripter, we're real big on creating messaging that's tailored for different buyer personas. So your elevator pitch and your pre-qualifying questions could change when you change from one buyer to another. For example, say when you change from one industry to another, your questions could change. When you change, maybe you're selling to one company and you could sell into operations and you can also sell into finance. Well, those two different departments have different needs and different interests. So even knowing you're wanting to sell the same product, you could ultimately end up, or you to have the strongest sales pitch, you could end up having different questions that you ask those different individuals. Now that might seem a little overwhelming, and if you're coming at this with nothing and you're just trying to get the pieces in place, don't worry. We believe in crawl, walk, run. So your crawl step would be just getting one sales pitch, one list of questions together. But the run stage, and this is after you're walking, in terms of the crawl, walk, run. The run stage would be to come back and create unique lists of questions for the different buyers that you sell to. But I'm going to give you this process here, and you can use this whether you use SalesScripter or not. But it's these 4 steps. Identify what you ultimately think you're going to try to sell this person. Identify the benefits that product or service offers. For each benefit, think about the problem or pain point that benefit helps to fix, resolve. And then for each pain point, compose 1 or 2 probing questions to see if those pain points exist. You go through that process, you'll have a list of probing questions that fit great in this process. And I'll show you how to use those questions. But again, if you go through that process, look at step 2. Identify the benefits that it offers that buyer. When you change that buyer at step 2, that's where you end up maybe with a different set of questions. When you go from changing the buyer from a CFO to a CIO, that's when you end up with a different list of questions. Now, I do want to go back to SalesScripter to point out that 4-step process. We'll go through that with you. We will go through that with you to help you to fill out SalesScripter, but the software will take you through that process on your own and help you to develop the optimum list of questions for each buyer persona.